I stared at the contract, my hands shaking. The words blurred together, but one thing was clear: I was signing my life away. My father's debt had become mine the day he died, and now Ryan Seo held the solution in his cold, perfect hands. The heir to the Seo empire sat across from me, his dark eyes empty of warmth. He slid a pen toward me. "Sign it, Yemin, you're mine until I say otherwise." His voice was smooth like silk hiding a blade. I thought about my mother's hospital bills, the lone shark circling our apartment. I had no choice. My signature looked small and scared on the paper. Ryan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Welcome to the family," he said. 3 days later, I stood at the altar in a suit that cost more than my entire wardrobe. The wedding was perfect, cold, beautiful. I felt like a mannequin. During the reception, I stepped outside for air. That's when I heard Ryan's voice through an open window. "He's just temporary," he told someone. "Once the board approves the merger, he's gone." My heart dropped into my stomach. I was disposable. Our first night as husbands was nothing like I'd imagined. Ryan led me to a bedroom that could fit 3 apartments. He pointed to the bed, then to a chair in the corner. "You'll sleep there," he said flatly. "But in public you'll smile, you'll hold my hand, you'll play the perfect husband." I nodded, unable to speak. He loosened his tie and walked toward the bathroom. "I don't want complications, Yemin, this is business." The door closed behind him. I sat on the chair, feeling the expensive fabric beneath me. It was softer than anything I'd ever owned, but it felt like stone. I was a prop in his play, nothing more. Hours passed, I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I peeked through the door and saw Ryan disappearing into a room I'd never noticed before. It was hidden behind a bookshelf that had swung open. My curiosity pulled me forward. I crept closer, pressing my ear to the gap. Inside, I heard another voice, low and urgent. "You can't keep doing this," the voice said. Ryan's response was too quiet to hear. Who was in there? Next morning, I asked the housekeeper about the hidden room. Her face went pale. "Don't ask questions, sir," she whispered. "It's not safe." But the other staff talked when they thought I wasn't listening. They said Ryan once had a lover who vanished 5 years ago. No body, no goodbye, just gone. And the strangest part, they said I looked exactly like him. I laughed it off until I explored the library that afternoon. Behind a row of old books, I found a photograph tucked inside a journal. My breath caught. The man in the photo had my face, my eyes, my smile, but the name written on the back wasn't mine. It said Han Yemin in elegant handwriting. My name is Yemin too, but my family name is Park. I flipped the photo over again, studying every detail. The date was 5 years old. My hands trembled. This couldn't be coincidence. Who was this person, and why did Ryan choose me? I heard footsteps and quickly shoved the photo into my pocket. When I turned, no one was there, but I felt watched. A week later, Ryan's family hosted a formal dinner. The dining room was massive, filled with board members in expensive suits. I sat beside Ryan, trying to remember which fork to use. Everything felt like a test I was failing. Halfway through the meal, one board member asked about my background. Ryan's jaw tight. "Yemin comes from humble beginnings," he said coldly. "But we all start somewhere, don't we?" The table fell silent. I felt my face burn with shame. He just told everyone I was beneath them. I wanted to disappear. One man watched the whole exchange quietly. He sat at the far end of the table, younger than the others, with kind eyes that reminded me of rain. After dinner, I escaped to the hallway, fighting back tears. "You don't deserve this." The voice startled me. I turned to see the quiet man from dinner. He was tall, dressed more casually than the others. "I'm Yunwoo," he said softly. "Ryan's younger brother." I wiped my eyes quickly. "I'm fine." "No, you're not." He stepped closer, his expression gentle. "My brother can be cruel. I'm sorry you're caught in this." Something in his voice felt genuine, warm. It was the first kindness I'd felt since the wedding. 2 weeks into the marriage, Ryan and I had our first real fight. I'd accidentally interrupted a business call. He slammed the phone down and turned on me, his face twisted with rage. "You stupid worthless." The slap came before I could react. My cheek exploded with pain. I stumbled back, shocked. Ryan stood there, breathing hard, his hands still raised. Then he seemed to realize what he'd done. Without a word, he walked out. I sat on the floor, touching my burning face. Tears finally came. I don't know how long I stayed there before I heard footsteps. "Yemin." Yunwoo's voice was horrified. He knelt beside me, gently turning my face to see the mark. His eyes darkened. "He did this." It wasn't a question. He disappeared for a moment and returned with ice wrapped in cloth. His hands were careful as he pressed it to my cheek. We didn't speak, but his presence felt like safety. When he finally stood to leave, he paused at the door. "If he hurts you again," Yunwoo whispered, his voice hard as steel, "I'll make him regret it." The promise hung in the air long after he left. I started sneaking outside at night. The mansion had a garden that glowed under lanterns, peaceful and secret. It became my escape. On the fourth night, I found Yunwoo there too. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. We started meeting there every evening, small talk at first, then deeper conversations. He told me about studying abroad, about feeling like an outsider in his own family. I told him about my father, about the debt that swallowed my life. "You're stronger than you know," he said one night. The way he looked at me made my heart race. I told myself it was just loneliness, just gratitude, but his smile stayed with me all day. We were sitting under the lanterns, laughing about something silly when I felt eyes on us. I looked up. Ryan stood at the window above, watching. His expression was unreadable, but something cold passed through his eyes. Yunwoo followed my gaze and saw him too. Let him watch, Yunwoo said quietly. You're allowed to have friends, but we both knew it wasn't that simple. Ryan's shadow fell over everything. Ryan dragged me to charity gala the following week. He dressed me like a doll, adjusted my tie and smiled for the cameras. Remember, he whispered before we entered, you're madly in love with me tonight. The performance began. He held my hand, laughed at nothing, kissed my temple. Flash bulbs exploded around us. I played along, but my eyes kept finding Yunwoo across the room. He was talking to donors, but every few minutes our gazes met. The cameras caught everything. Ryan noticed too. His grip on my waist tightened until it hurt. Stop looking at him, he hissed behind his smile. The next morning my phone exploded with notifications. I opened the news and felt sick. The headline screamed, the heir's husband and his brother a scandalous bond. Below it were photos of Yunwoo and me at the gala. The way we looked at each other told a story I hadn't meant to write. Ryan threw the newspaper at me. Fix this, he snarled. You've embarrassed the entire family. But how could I fix something that was true? Ryan locked me inside the mansion. No phone, no visitors, no escape. Until the scandal cools, he said coldly. Days blurred together, I felt like a prisoner. On the third night I heard a tap on my window. Yunwoo stood outside with a bag of food and a sad smile. I let him in, grateful beyond words. He can't treat you like this, Yunwoo said, watching me eat. I'm handling it. You're not. He sat beside me. You're disappearing. We talked until dawn. He made me laugh again, made me feel human. When he left, I felt lighter. The next day while cleaning I found the photograph I'd hidden weeks ago. I'd forgotten about it, but when Yunwoo visited again he spotted it on my nightstand. His face went white. Where did you find this? He asked, his voice strange. In the library. Who is he? Yunwoo stared at the photo, then at me. This man, he said slowly. He's the one who died 5 years ago, the lover Ryan lost. Died, I whispered. But people said he vanished. That's what the family says, but I know the truth. His hands shook. And you look exactly like him. Everything changed after that night. Yunwoo started visiting more often, sneaking through the garden entrance. We'd talk for hours in my locked room. One evening, the tension between us finally broke. I need to tell you something, Yunwoo said, his voice rough. I didn't plan this. I didn't want to feel this way. My heart pounded. Feel what way? Like you're the only real thing in this house. He stepped closer, like I'd burn everything down to keep you safe. I should have stepped back. I should have remembered I was married, that this was his brother. But loneliness and desperation made me weak. When he kissed me, I kissed him back. It was gentle at first, then desperate, like we were both drowning. When we pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm not, I admitted. We didn't notice the small red light blinking in the corner of the room. The security camera watched everything, recording our moment, our betrayal. Later, I'd wonder if Ryan had planned this all along. If he'd wanted us to fall just so he could catch us breaking. Ryan didn't confront us immediately. That should have been my first warning. 3 days passed. He acted normal, cold but civil. Then one morning he walked into the breakfast room with a tablet. He set it in front of me and pressed play. The footage showed everything. The kiss, the confession, Yunwoo's words. My stomach dropped. Ryan smiled, but it was terrifying. Perfect, he said softly. Now let's see who betrays first. I couldn't speak. He took the tablet back and walked toward the door. Where are you going? I managed. To show my mother, he said casually. The matriarch should know what kind of people live under her roof. The door closed behind him. I sat frozen, knowing everything was about to explode. That evening I tried to warn Yunwoo, but guards blocked my door. I was trapped again. Through the walls I heard shouting. The family was gathering. They knew. And I was about to face the consequences of falling for the wrong brother. The family council was worse than any nightmare. The CO matriarch sat at the head of the table like a queen judging her subjects. Ryan stood beside her, triumphant. Yunwoo stood beside me, refusing to let me face this alone. You've brought shame to this family, the matriarch said, her voice cutting. You will leave this house immediately, Yimin. The marriage will be annulled. I nodded, accepting my fate, but then Yunwoo spoke. No, everyone turned to stare. He stays, Yunwoo said firmly. And if you force him out, I go with him. Gasps filled the room. The matriarch's face hardened. You would choose this nobody over your family, over your inheritance? Yes, Yunwoo's voice didn't waver. Without hesitation. Ryan laughed, slow and mocking. The sound echoed through the silent room. How touching, he said, but here's the deal, little brother. He leaned forward, eyes glittering. You can have him if you're willing to destroy your inheritance, give up everything our family built. Walk away with nothing? The room held its breath. Yunwoo looked at me, then back at Ryan. Done, he said. My heart broke and soared at the same time. No, I grabbed Yunwoo's arm. Don't do this, I'm not worth it. You're worth everything, he said quietly. The matriarch's face twisted with disgust. Then you're no son of mine, get out, both of you. We left that night with only the clothes on our backs. Yunwoo had given up millions, power, his entire future for me. In our cheap hotel room I couldn't stop crying. You shouldn't have done that, I sobbed. He held me close. I'd do it again. The next morning, Ryan's assistant found me in the hotel lobby. She slipped me a file folder without saying a word. Inside were documents, financial records, emails. My hands shook as I read. Ryan had been involved in fraud, bribery, illegal business deals. But the last section made my blood run cold. There were medical reports, laboratory records, mentions of experimental procedures, and subject replication. And there was a name that appeared over and over, connected to someone who vanished 5 years ago. The final page showed a death certificate. Name, Han Yimin, Date 5 years ago, my exact name, my exact face in the attached photo. I wasn't chosen randomly, I was chosen because I was him. I couldn't breathe, the file fell from my hands, papers scattering across the floor. Yunwoo rushed over. What's wrong? I pointed at the death certificate with a shaking finger. He read it, his face going pale. This doesn't make sense, you're not dead, you're right here. But what if I'm not really me? The question sounded crazy even as I said it. We spent hours going through every page. The evidence was clear. Ryan had been running illegal experiments through a secret laboratory. The documents mentioned genetic research, behavioral modification, something called Project H7. I found a ledger listing expenses. Millions spent on equipment, staff, subjects. My stomach turned. There's more, Yunwoo said, his voice hollow. He showed me a photo from the file. It was the same picture I'd found in the library, but this copy had notes written on it. Technical notes about facial structure, genetic markers, personality traits. Someone had been studying Han Yimin. Studying him to recreate him. The truth crashed over me like a wave. I looked at my hands, my reflection in the hotel mirror. Was I even real, or was I just Ryan's ghost, his punishment, his project? I had to know the truth. I convinced Yunwoo to help me sneak back to the mansion. We waited until midnight, then climbed through the garden entrance. The house was dark and quiet. I led him to the hidden room I'd seen Ryan enter weeks ago. The bookshelf door was unlocked. Inside was an office filled with files, computers, and photos of Han Yimin everywhere. Photos of me. On the desk sat a folder with my name on it. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a DNA test, comparison charts, a timeline of my entire life. But it was the stamp at the top that made me feel sick. Project H7, genetic replica, successful implementation. The light suddenly blazed on. Ryan stood in the doorway, arms crossed. Found my secret, did you? His smile was cruel. You think you're real, Yimin? You were chosen because you look like him, my ghost, my punishment. I backed away. That's not true, I have memories, a life before you. Do you? He stepped closer. Or do you have implanted memories, adjusted records? You're not Park Yimin, you're Han Yimin version 2, my perfect replica. He threw another file at my feet. Read it, see what you really are. The file confirmed everything. I wasn't born naturally. I was created in a laboratory 5 years ago using Han Yimin's DNA. My memories before age 18 were fabricated, implanted. The parents I remembered, the childhood I cherished, all carefully constructed fiction. I was an experiment in cloning and memory manipulation. The debt that brought me to Ryan, planted. The circumstances of our meeting, arranged. Everything was designed to bring me back to him. You're not even human, Ryan whispered. You're my do-over, my chance to fix what I lost. I fell to my knees. Yunwoo rushed to my side, but I barely felt him. My entire existence was a lie. I was a ghost wearing borrowed skin. Why? I finally asked. Because I loved him, Ryan said, his voice breaking. And I killed him, accidentally during a fight. I've spent 5 years trying to bring him back. He knelt in front of me, but you're not him. You're just a cruel reminder of what I destroyed. Behind us, Yunwoo's phone buzzed. He checked it and his face went white. There's breaking news, the laboratory, someone leaked your files, it's all over the internet. Ryan's face contorted with rage. Who, me? Yunwoo said quietly. I sent everything to the press before we came here. Even if it kills me, I'm destroying your sick project. Ryan lunged at Yunwoo, but I grabbed his arm. Run, I shouted. We bolted through the mansion with Ryan screaming behind us. Guards appeared, but we were faster, more desperate. We made it to Yunwoo's car and sped into the night. Behind us, headlights followed. The Seo family's men chasing us through empty streets. Yunwoo drove like he'd done this before, taking sharp turns in narrow alleys. We headed for the coast, planning to disappear into another city. I'm sorry, I said as buildings blurred past. For what? For being what I am, for dragging you into this nightmare. He grabbed my hand. You're not a thing, you're a person. Whatever they did to create you, you're real now. Your feelings are real, that's what matters. We drove for hours. As dawn broke, we finally reached the coastal highway. Freedom was close. Then Ryan's black car appeared ahead, blocking the road. We slammed on the brakes, skidding to a stop. Ryan stepped out holding something in his hand. As he got closer, I saw it was a gun. End of the lines, he called out. Yunwoo pushed me behind him. Don't do this, brother, Ryan laughed bitterly. You stopped being my brother when you stole what belonged to me. Ryan pointed the gun at Yunwoo's chest. I should have done this years ago. You were always the favorite, the good son, but not anymore. Ryan, please, I begged. This isn't about me. This is about you and him. Let me go. Let us both go. Never. His finger moved toward the trigger. Yunwoo stepped forward. You want to shoot someone, shoot me, but let Yimin live his life. His life? Ryan's voice cracked. He doesn't have a life. He's a copy, a fake. The gun went off. I screamed. But the person falling wasn't Yunwoo. Ryan dropped to his knees, blood spreading across his shirt. Behind him stood Ryan's assistant, holding her own gun with shaking hands. I couldn't let you do this, she whispered. Not again. Yunwoo and I rushed to Ryan. The wound was bad but not immediately fatal. Leave me, Ryan gasped. Call an ambulance or don't. I don't care anymore. Yunwoo stared at his brother, bleeding on the ground. Then he made a decision that shocked me. Help me get him in the car, he said. We're not letting him die. We drove to a safe house Yunwoo knew, an old cabin by the sea. Why are you saving me? Ryan whispered as we bandaged him. Because you're still my brother, Yunwoo said simply. When Ryan finally fell asleep, he whispered one last thing: "You'll regret saving me." For 3 days we stayed in the cabin while Ryan healed. The news exploded with the scandal. The CO family's crimes were everywhere: lab records, financial fraud, illegal experiments. The laboratory was raided, evidence seized. The CO empire began crumbling. The matriarch disappeared, reportedly fleeing the country. Board members resigned. Stock prices crashed. Ryan watched it all on TV, his face empty. 20 years building that empire, he said, gone in 3 days. I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. On the fourth day, a news report made us all freeze. Authorities discovered additional subjects at the laboratory facility. A young male, approximately 15 years old, who appears genetically identical to the recently revealed Han Yimin clone. Sources say the facility was preparing to create more replicas before the raid. My heart stopped. "There's another one." Yunwoo checked his phone frantically. "The lab's address is public now. If there's someone there who looks like you, we have to go," I said. Ryan struggled to sit up. "Don't, it's too dangerous. The police are all over that place." "I don't care," I snapped. "If there's another me, another person created like I was, I have to help them." We left Ryan at the cabin and drove back to the city. The laboratory was in an industrial district surrounded by police tape, but we found a way in through the back. Inside, past the emptied rooms and broken equipment, we found him. A boy who looked exactly like me, locked in a small room, terrified and alone. The boy cowered when he saw me. "No more tests," he whimpered. "Please, no more." My heart shattered. I knelt slowly. "I'm not here to hurt you, I'm here to help. What's your name?" "I don't have a name." His voice was so small. "Call me Prototype 7. The same designation I'd had, H7. This child was made after me, probably when Ryan decided I wasn't perfect enough." Yunwoo found the keys and unlocked the door. The boy ran to me, clinging to my shirt. "Are you real?" he asked. "Are you like me?" "Yes," I whispered. "I'm exactly like you." We got him out into a hospital under false names. Doctors examined him, horrified by what they found: malnutrition, signs of medical experimentation, trauma. While he slept, Yunwoo and I made plans. We'd take him somewhere safe, help him build a real life. Back at the cabin, Ryan was gone. He'd left a note: "I'm ending this, don't follow." 3 hours later, news broke of a massive fire at the laboratory's main facility. Authorities said someone had set it deliberately, destroying all remaining records and equipment. One body was found inside, burned beyond recognition but carrying Ryan Seo's identification. Yunwoo stared at the news report, tears streaming down his face. "He's gone," he whispered, but part of me wondered if Ryan could really die that easily. The investigation concluded that Ryan had died in the laboratory fire. His death was ruled a suicide, his way of destroying evidence and escaping justice. The Seo family held a quiet funeral. Yunwoo attended alone. I stayed with the boy who had started calling Jin a name he'd chosen himself. Months passed, the scandal faded from headlines. The laboratory was demolished. Victims, including Jin and me, received settlements from what remained of the Seo estate. Yunwoo and I moved to a small coastal town with Jin. We used new names, started fresh. I got a job at a bookstore. Yunwoo taught piano lessons. Jin went to school for the first time. Life became quiet, simple, almost normal. I learned to accept what I was. Clone, replica, experiment, it didn't matter. I was alive. I felt things. I loved Yunwoo and cared for Jin. That made me real enough. One evening, 6 months after the fire, I found an envelope in our mailbox. No stamp, no return address, just our new names written in elegant handwriting. Inside was a letter sealed with the Seo family crest. My hands shook as I opened it. The handwriting was unmistakably Ryan's. "Did you really think fire could kill me? Some ghosts never die, wait for me." I dropped the letter like it was burning. Yunwoo ran over, read it, and his face went pale. "It's not possible," he said. "We saw the body, the DNA matched, but the letter was real. And somewhere, somehow, Ryan was alive." 2 weeks later, on a rainy Tuesday, Ryan appeared at our door. He looked terrible, scarred, thin, broken in ways that went beyond physical, but alive. Yunwoo moved to block the door, but Ryan raised his hands. "I'm not here to hurt anyone, I'm dying, really dying this time." He showed us medical reports. The fire had damaged his lungs, heart, organs. He had months at most. "Why come here?" I asked. "To tell you the truth," Ryan said quietly. "You were never my clone. You weren't created in a lab, the files were fake." I stepped back, confused. "What? Han Yimin was real. He died 5 years ago, but you, Park Yimin, you're just someone who happens to look like him, a coincidence." He smiled sadly. "I fabricated all those records to manipulate you, to make you feel worthless. I wanted you to believe you weren't real so you'd be easier to control." The words didn't make sense. "But the lab, Jin, all of it, the lab was real. Jin is real, but you're human, always have been." "I'm sorry," he coughed, blood flecking his lips. "The curse isn't being a clone, the curse is being trapped by someone who can't let go." He looked at Yunwoo. "Take care of them, be better than I was." Then he turned and walked into the rain. We never saw him again. A month later, we received news that Ryan had died in a hospital 3 towns over. This time it was real. Yunwoo handled the arrangements. At the funeral, only a handful of people showed up. The mighty Seo family had fallen completely. I stood at Ryan's grave, feeling complicated things. He'd hurt me, manipulated me, tried to own me. But in the end, he freed me too, told me the truth, let me go. "Do you forgive him?" Yunwoo asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "Maybe someday." Life moved forward. Jin grew taller, made friends, laughed more. Yunwoo and I built something quiet and strong together. We never officially married, but it didn't matter. We were partners, family. One evening, sitting on our porch watching the sunset, Yunwoo took my hand. "Are you happy?" he asked. I thought about everything we'd survived. The lies, the pain, the impossible choices. But I also thought about Jin's laughter, Yunwoo's kindness, the simple joy of waking up free. "Yes," I said. "I really am." The past would always be there, scars on our souls, but scars meant we'd survived, and survival meant we could finally live. 2 years passed in gentle routine. Then the letter came. It was delivered by a lawyer, part of Ryan's estate settlement. Inside was a thick envelope addressed to me in Ryan's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "Yimin, if you're reading this, I'm finally gone. I hope you found peace. I never could. These are the real medical files, the truth I couldn't say to your face. The fire damaged more than my body. I'm dying of the same genetic disorder that killed Han. The irony is your DNA might hold the cure. You're not a clone, but you're related to him somehow. Distant cousin maybe. The doctors found markers in your blood that could save me. I'm leaving you a choice. In this envelope is everything you need to help me. Bank accounts, medical contacts, samples. If you want to save me, you can, but I won't ask. I don't deserve saving. You owe me nothing. Live your life, be happy. That's all the redemption I need. Goodbye." Attached was proof. Medical records, genetic comparisons, a treatment plan. He was telling the truth. My blood could have saved him, could still save others with the same condition. Yunwoo read over my shoulder. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know," I whispered. "He's already gone." But the research could help others. I made my choice. I went back to the hospital where Ryan had died. The doctor who treated him was still there. "Can you use this?" I asked, handing over the medical files and offering my blood samples. The doctor's eyes widened. "This could help dozens of patients with this condition. You'd be saving lives." "Then use it," I said, "but there's one condition." Over the next year I worked with researchers. They used my genetic material to develop treatments. Lives were saved. The condition that killed Han and Ryan became manageable. But I made sure Ryan's name wasn't attached to the cure. I didn't want his legacy to be redemption he hadn't earned. Instead, the treatment was named after Jin, the boy who'd suffered most from Ryan's obsession. On the anniversary of Ryan's death, Yunwoo, Jin, and I drove to the coast. We scattered Ryan's ashes at sea, finally letting him go. "Do you think he found peace?" Jin asked. He'd grown so much, almost 17 now. "I hope so," Yunwoo said. We stood there watching the waves take the ashes away. The sun set behind us, painting the sky gold and pink. "Let's go home," I said. As we drove back to our little house, I felt light for the first time in years. The debt was paid, the ghost was gone, we were free. 5 years after everything fell apart, life looked completely different. Jin graduated high school with honors. He wanted to study medicine, help people like the ones who'd helped him. Yunwoo and I finally got married, a small ceremony on the beach with just Jin and a few close friends. No press, no scandal, just love. Sometimes people recognized me from the old news stories. "Aren't you that clone?" they'd ask. "No," I'd say simply, "I'm just me," because that was the truth. Whatever Ryan had tried to make me, whatever lies he'd told, I was myself. My choices, my life, my love, all real. We opened a community center in our town, offering support to victims of manipulation and abuse. Jin volunteered there, helping others heal. One quiet evening I sat on our porch writing in my journal. The sunset painted everything gold. Yunwoo brought me tea and kissed my head. "What are you writing?" he asked. "Just thoughts," I said, "about debt and freedom and love." I wrote one final line. "We spend our lives paying debts we never owed. Love taught me to stop owing anyone, even my past." Jin called us inside for dinner. As I closed my journal and stood up, I looked at the life we'd built. Small, quiet, honest, and completely ours. The debt was finally paid, not with money or suffering, but with the courage to choose love over fear, truth over comfort, and freedom over chains. I was no one's property, no one's ghost, no one's project. I was simply Yimin, and that was more than enough.